Hi, everyone. This is Rico Figliolini, host of UrbanEBB here in the city of Peachtree Corners, just north of Atlanta. I appreciate you joining us. We have a great guest today, a Peachtree Corners-based business, very different in a unique industry. Kyle Grob. Appreciate you being with me, Kyle.
Oh, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
It's going to be a good discussion on a bit of company, a bit of work, and manpower, the lack of.
Lack of, yes.
Lack of manpower.
Yeah.
So, but before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to two of our sponsors, EV Remodeling, Inc., and the owner, Eli, who lives here in Peachtree Corners also. His family does. And he does great work from design to build, whole house renovation, or if you need an extension on the house, he's the guy to look for. They've done over 260 such renovation work. So check them out, evremodelinginc.com. And then also Vox Populi, also family owned, also in Peachtree Corners. And they're a company that if you have a brand and if you're a business and you need to bring that brand to life, pretty much you can do it. 1,600 vehicle wraps, I think, this past year. Anything you can want imprinted, embroidered, silkscreen, whatever it is. If you have a logo and you want it on an object of any sort, challenge them. I can't tell you how many different things they've put logos on. So all great stuff. Check them out. VoxPopuli.com is where you can find them. So now I've taken care of the sponsors who support us for our journalism and podcasts. Kyle is the founder and currently CEO of KGM Technology.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So based in Peachtree Corners, tell us just quickly a little bit about what the company is.
So, company started in 2012 as a kind of a fabrication job shop, machining fabrication, and we kind of evolved out of the automotive space and got into the defense world, and it slowly grew over years, and then we moved into this building in 2019, and have been growing ever since. 2019,
COVID.
Yeah, so COVID was actually very good for us. It was wide open, running multiple shifts. While many businesses were shut down, we couldn't hire enough people. We couldn't build enough product.
We'll get into that because that may be a bit of what you're going on now too. So your business is military, is suppressors, which is the biggest part. You told me once at one point when I took a tour earlier, a week ago, you said we're precision manufacturers. Is that?
Yeah, so the back end, the wholeness of the company is precision manufacturing. Our forward-facing product is suppressors. That's mainly what we sell to commercial, law enforcement, military, overseas, all kinds of stuff like that. But we're in all kinds of stuff. Contract manufacturing, medical device manufacturing and supply, all the way down to machining and research and development, and it's just a little bit of everything. But again, forward-facing is the product line, yes.
Sure, and you've done this since 2019, right?
Well, no.
Actually, before that.
Yeah, so we started suppressors in 2015, 2016, okay. But it was kind of a side product to what we were doing. Yeah. Really grew in 2019, and then really kind of just kept growing through COVID, and this is kind of where we are now.
Interesting. So your family is steeped in military, from what I understand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In all branches, I guess, or a variety of branches.
Army and Navy.
Army and Navy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And you hire veterans?
We hire a lot of veterans. We have a lot of veterans that work for us. I try to hire as many as we can. Okay. They make very good employees. But it could probably be a whole nother podcast in itself. What happens to veterans when they come back from service, and so we try to search them out and give people a chance.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Getting involved in this type of market since you started, has it changed in the way you do business or in what you do?
Yeah, because we are so highly regulated from the ATF regulates us pretty heavily. The ability for consumers to essentially purchase the product and all the paperwork and background check that goes in it has evolved since we started. It used to be 9 months, 12, 15 months to get a product. So you'd buy it, wait for your paperwork for a year or more. You'd almost forget about the product. And then all of a sudden it'd pop up one day. Well, last year, everything went digital. And so now everything's digital. You go from months or years wait time to days, hours, weeks.
So you can order this stuff online and get it shipped to you?
No, so you can't really ship it to your house. Okay. So you still have to go to a dealer or go like that. You're still submitting fingerprints. You're still submitting your photos. Sure. But the process is now all digitized. There's no manual entry on the ATF side. Everything goes through much faster. And again, we've seen, 3-hour wait times where you fill out your paperwork, go to a long lunch, and all of a sudden your suppressor's approved. So
Is that, if you have a gun permit or a carry permit, does that make it easy?
it doesn't really, because it's a completely separate background check.
Okay.
So every suppressor you purchase is its own background check. So you treat it like a firearm purchase every single time, except it goes through a kind of a different, it goes through the FBI on the NICS side, which is their background check service. But it goes through separate checking on the ATF side as well.
Okay.
So it is a little bit more involved process than buying a handgun or a rifle or something like that. But a similar, the similar agencies touch it, I guess.
Okay. This being the state of Georgia, other states have different ways of doing things. You've been to trade shows. You're involved in the industry a bit.
Yeah.
Do you see Georgia being a good place to do business here in this market, in this industry?
Georgia's a very friendly state, and even just manufacturing in general. You've seen all the companies that have moved here.
Oh, yeah.
You have most major automotive companies are either building or about to build here. You got SK Batteries. You have some big companies that are moving to Georgia. And then film. I mean, film is massive here now with all the tax breaks. And so you see a lot of stuff coming to Georgia from an industry standpoint, but it's also very firearms friendly. There's a lot of big companies here in Georgia. You have Glock here in Georgia. You have Daniel Defense. You have a lot of really big companies. I think Remington's got a place here. So it is very, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, there's a lot of very friendly states when it comes to manufacturing and firearms.
So how do you go about selling your product then? I mean, do you go to trade shows, RFPs?
So on the military side, it's more RFPs, it's more contract basis. We partner with a lot of firearms companies because a lot of submissions for weapon systems require, we're viewed as a kind of an add-on to a weapon system. Yeah, it's an accessory. And then on the law enforcement side, we go demos, we have dealers. And then on the commercial side, we have distributors that distribute to dealers, and then we have dealers that essentially are walk-in brick-and-mortar stores, and we sell directly to them as well.
So for most people that may not know, why would someone want a suppressor on the gun? Why would a police officer, let's say a SWAT team, want a suppressor? What makes it?
Really the biggest one is health and safety is the biggest one. So from a officer-involved shooting, or say if he shoots without ear protection, every shot is permanent hearing damage. So if he shoots one in his entire career, he's permanent hearing damage, he's on disability from an auditory standpoint. So you look at, what you could do, and then you look at, God forbid, all the school shootings we've had in school resource. Right. When you shoot inside of a building, it's even magnified. So it's very, very loud in general, and then you put it inside of a building, it gets worse. So there's been cases where you've seen lawsuits where, a SWAT team or someone's gone into a house or a building and essentially, saved someone, but they discharged their short barrel rifle inside the house. And then everyone that's not wearing ear protection, i.e. the family, they're all deaf or hearing damage, and they end up suing the city. And we see it a lot. And so from a health and safety standpoint, there's that. You could look at accuracy. And then you look at, on the hunting side, of being more courteous to neighbors. It allows you to hunt closer to, other people and stuff like that. Yeah, so there's so many things that add to it. And then you add, on the military side, it helps with being able to, hide your location and just be more effective, suppress flash and stuff like that. So a myriad of uses. Really the bigger one is the health and safety side of things.
I was speaking to a person today that on his old farm, he used to shoot his rifle and stuff. And he told me, he said, this year, pretty much gone. He says, no, hearing aid, because he didn't think that he needed plugs or anything. Suppressor probably would have helped him.
Yes.
Well, at least the plugs might have helped him a little bit. But no one thinks about that when you're out there doing that.
You don't. And you look at the law enforcement side and kind of the heat of moment, you don't think about it. No. You don't. It's not something you're either fighting for your life or, your split moment decision. Like, you don't think about putting Air Pro on or throwing a plug in, something like that. It's a split second decision. So with suppressors, you can really mitigate a lot of that risk. Now, does it make it the Hollywood movie side? No.
No.
The only thing that gets even close to that is 22. And it's because the subsonic's very quiet like that. But any center fire rifle cartridge, you're never going to get away from supersonic crack. It's only so quiet you can get it. It is a suppressor, not a silencer. And that's probably a very heated topic.
That's a movie thing.
It's a movie thing, yes. But in practical application, they do a lot of work for the size of the product and what you use it for.
So now going from suppressors to the medical industry, when you showed me around and you talked to me about mechanical therapeutic systems for a company you're doing work for inside the perimeter, that you almost had to double the size of your floor space, essentially.
Yeah, so
tell us.
It's kind of an interesting story. We go back to, we're a precision manufacturing company. We make contract stuff, we do defense, we do a little bit of everything. And it was kind of a friend of a friend. Their business was scaling and really needed help scaling the manufacturing side of their product. And it was really a right place, right time. It kind of fit in our warehouse. While it's not exactly what we make, precision assembly, scaling, manufacturing, supply chain, logistics, all that stuff, that's what we do every day. So I'm just building something a little different versus what I have been building. So it was a great opportunity. Again, they're right inside the perimeter. It's an Atlanta company. Right. And it was just a really good right place, right time, good fit for what they were looking for, good fit for us on the diversification side. So it really worked, and we are growing weekly. I mean,
really?
Yeah, we're blowing walls down, and we've tripled the space twice now since we started in like October of last year. So it's very, very quick.
When I walked through and gave me the tour, I mean, there were quite a few people just in that place doing the assemblage part.
Yeah.
I think you even told me, you said, how far down can you, millionth of an inch precision?
Yeah, so it's like our EDMs and some of our stuff, we calculate in microns, millionths of an inch.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah. So that's an industry, obviously, you want to get more into.
Yeah, it is. It was interesting. I had kind of heard about the medical manufacturing side, and the more we dug into it, the more I realized how many companies like the company we're helping are out there. Yeah. And I've just, they have a great idea, a great concept, but they're either doctors or they're PhDs or biomedical. They've developed great product, but they don't know the manufacturing side, or they don't know how to scale the logistics, supply chain. Scaling. So there's so many good ideas that maybe never ever come to market or never could reach the potential they could because they don't know the back end. They don't know the manufacturing. They don't know how to make 5 of something is very different than making 500. It's very different than making 5,000.
Right.
And it's just a different skill set. It's a different knowledge base, and we're very good at it. And it was a really, really good fit. And it's something we believe in. We believe in the medical stuff as much as we believe in the defense. So every day we're building something to help someone else.
And to get people to understand a little bit, this particular thing was a therapeutic.
Without going into too much detail, it's a stroke therapy device. Okay. It's used for rehab of stroke patients so that they can actually do rehab at home versus having to go into a therapy office. And so it's just grown immensely, and the product's done well.
So how do you go after that market? So if another business person, when you diversify, it's not easy, right? You're all set in one way. You have 100% of the direction going in one way. How do you do that? If another company was listening to this, how would they be able to diversify? So what challenges did you see? The
challenges, like I said, we very much stumbled into this one. Not saying we weren't looking, and that's kind of how we did it, but honestly, it was network. And the guy that owns this company owns another company, and he's an investment group with another. So a lot of it is networking and being open and willing to take on a challenge that you may not be like, oh, I have no business in that. Well, if you're good at what you do over here and you can see, you can cross the lines, you can compare, you'd be surprised what you can do. And then you go to the trade shows, like there are medical device trade shows. Like go to those and walk around and say, hey, I'm a manufacturer, or I'm this, I'm looking at getting into this market. Do you have a need for X, what I do? Putting yourself out there and going like, look, this is out of my market, but I'm good at this. I would like to try this, and just be open and willing to fail, because you're going to fail more than you succeed, but be willing to try. And that's the big thing, was the leap. Like we took a leap to do this. I had a feeling that we could do it, but at the end of the day, like you still have to take the leap.
You're a CEO now, and you were founder, but you were on the board. You were chairman of the board?
No, I was chairman of the board. I was more on the technical side. So as we were growing the business, I was CTO. Okay. And so we were heading kind of down a different path. And it was just the board kind of wanted to see a different change in the way the company was run. Again, my background, well, I said I wasn't running the day-to-day. I was more on the manufacturing side and technology and patents and stuff like that. And so board made a shift, and I took back over the company. You know, I go from running it many years ago to running it again, which happens a lot in small companies. And it was we wanted to head down the manufacturing path, and that's what I know. So we made a change, and I stepped back in last year and been riding the train ever since.
Good. It's great to have a company expanding and doing well in
Yes.
Peachtree Corners in Gwinnett County.
We're happy to be here.
Being an employee of veterans, being steeped in family, military and stuff, you do outreach, you do community fundraising in that field, in that area.
Yeah, we do, again, more in the defense space, but we do some charity work with several organizations, and again, we donate product. We do stuff for raffles and fundraisers, and we do a lot of stuff like that, because I really do believe in giving back to the market and giving back to those people. So it's something we do a decent amount of. I would like to do more this year. That's kind of what we're trying to find some other organizations that do stuff with, but we try to do as much as we can. There's one group, and I'll be happy to say the name, but Guardian Group. And it's Guardian Long Range, and they have a precision rifle series. It's a shooting competition, but it's for fun. And they have 4 or 5 stops all around the U.S. And we outfitted all their rifles that they let people use for trials and stuff like that. We outfitted all the suppressors. So maybe their first competition experience is with a suppressed rifle. Oh, wow. So we do stuff with them every year. A guy named Gary's one that founded that. So great group. But he does a lot of, most of his stuff is for foster kids. He was a foster kid himself, and he does every single dime of that goes right into helping foster kids, helping place foster kids, and stuff like that.
Wow, that is neat. That is cool. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So, leadership, company, what comes to mind when you're, when you're looking ahead for the next few years?
Really, my biggest push is diversification, is trying to grow the medical side for sure, grow my contract manufacturing, and really try to build some stable streams of revenue. Everyone knows the firearms industry goes up and down; it's always cyclical. Sure. And so, trying to build a larger company where I can have some overlying pathways and diversify and stuff like that. So that I can clip the waves and be able to grow the business without relying as much on a very cyclical market. Okay. So that's really the big try. We're pushing a lot of technology. We're trying for a patent a year or a patent every 2 years. Okay. Yeah, we're 4 deep already, with 2 more applied. So we do a lot on the patent side, a lot on the testing and development side. But yeah, growing the medical is really the big one I'm focusing on in the next year or so. Yeah,
the one of the things you have in house is a firearm range. You told me, and you can put a 50 caliber.
Yeah, so we shoot up to 50 cal indoors. Yeah, so we have a it's a lab as much as it is a range where we can do all of our instrumentation, and we develop based on data. So we use it. We shoot it almost every single day. We're doing testing and development. We do demos for customers and stuff like that. But yeah, we've pretty extensive room back there.
Yes, it's amazing. Smaller than this conference room.
Yeah. It's not a very big. It's not a big long range, but it's heavily instrumented.
And I can't even imagine shooting a 50 caliber in there. How that would sound.
Oh, it'll unsuppressed. It'll lift the ceiling tiles. It'll pressurize the room. Yeah. Okay.
So lots of work.
Yeah.
Expanding.
Yes.
You're looking towards the future and stuff. One of the biggest problems, I guess, and we're going to go right into that, is finding employees. Yeah. Finding skilled employees or motivated employees, maybe not even skilled, maybe motivated. How does that?
I'll trade motivation for skill.
Okay.
I'll trade, because what we do is kind of unique. Even on the manufacturing side, we have very nice machines. We do things to a very, very high tolerance. And even with machining background, we found that some people have either, preconceived notions or bad habits or stuff like that. So we're getting to the point now where I would rather have someone that has a little bit of mechanical aptitude, some basic knowledge, or someone out of trade school, and I'd rather just teach them. And finding someone that's willing, even on the medical side, I'd rather have someone come in that wants to just come in and work every single day, take pride in the product they put out. You don't have to even be that knowledgeable about what we do. I'll train you and do whatever we need to do, but someone to actually come in and do it is it's been one of those biggest struggles we find. We've had multiple, staffing agencies and all stuff like that. And we had some people the other day that came in for 4 hours, just left during lunch, never came back. And it's the workforce is it's been disappointing, I guess. And seeing, especially on the technical side, I mean, the trades, the crafts, like a lot of that stuff is dying. Like people are not, you look into like tool and die. Oh, that's a no. So most people don't know how injection mold stuff works and like that. The craftsmen that build those tools, that is a dying art. There's only 1 or 2 schools in the U.S. that do it. I don't know any of those guys that make less than 6 figures. None of them.
Wow.
And, you look at plumbers and electricians and welders. I come from a welding background. I knew plenty of welders in the nuclear field that have multiple houses in multiple states. They never wanted for money. They always had plenty of money because it's such a very small niche thing, and there's not many people that go into it. And so what we found with the growing, we've had to do a lot of automation because we cannot get the people. So we're putting robotics in, we're putting automation system in, just because I have a certain number of parts that I have to make a day, and we're not hitting the numbers with the people we have. And it's really hard to find people that want to come in and work. And we have a climate control facility, the nicest machines. Our oldest machine, CNC machine, is from 2018. It's the oldest machine we have in the whole building. Most stuff is within 2 years old. So we work highest machines, highest quality product, and just having someone come in every single day and want to work, it's been very difficult to find. And it's been I guess upsetting a little bit of how hard it's been.
I think we talked a little bit about that when I was here last time. And you're on the board of Maxwell High School Technical, I think?
Yeah, so Maxwell High School it's a vocational high school, essentially. It's a trade high school. They're over in Lawrenceville, I think. So high school kids in Gwinnett County, if they want to go to that program, I want to say it's junior and senior year. If they are heading down that path, they essentially will get bused to Maxwell for half their day and come back. And they have machining and welding, HVAC, nursing, culinary, carpentry, all kinds of stuff. And you can get some vocational certificates in high school over there. And so I sit on the board over there, and I help advise of curriculum of what do kids need to learn if they want to head down this path. They want to head down, I don't care if it's machining or engineering or anything like that. Like, what are basic skills? I mean, we have people that come in their 20s that don't know what a screwdriver is. I mean, it's like
that
you laugh.
Sounds crazy.
It
but I don't
sounds
know.
crazy, but until you meet people, and I don't think the school systems are doing people favors. And so I've been really trying to help where I can, and try to look, let's try to teach people young. I didn't have that when I was in school. I had to learn everything the hard way.
Yeah, and you were talking about this. You start at 15, I think.
Yeah. So I started machining in high school. I started welding at 12. I grew up on a farm. 12. And so it's one of those that I had a very good upbringing. I was shown, my great grandfather was a master carpenter. Great uncle was a master machinist. I grew up in a trade family. Yeah. And so I got exposed to that stuff very, very young. I was very lucky. A lot of people aren't like that. Most of their parents are maybe in IT or finance, and they want to go be a machinist or be a welder or something like that. So there's no, maybe the parents don't know how to get into that. And so the kids find out at a later date, well, what if they could start finding out in high school? What if they start learning? Your STEM schools, your vocational schools, that kind of stuff.
I think Paul Duke STEM, for example, they're a hybrid school, right? So it's, you have kids that are technically STEM kids, but then you also have other kids that are learning CAD and 3D printing and stuff like that. So more of technical stuff that they can actually leave the high school knowing that stuff and then find a job doing it. Yeah. Right. So that's the only place I know that's like that, short of the Gwinnett Science and Technology High School. I forget where that is now. But when I grew up, I mean, granted, my high school was 50 years ago. Half a century. That's horrible. Okay. But when I grew up, we had shop classes. So metal class, printing class. In fact, I took printing. I should have taken the auto class, but because that really works now. But, but I did printing. And when I was going to college, I worked at the print shop right around the corner. So I made good cash because there weren't that many people that knew it. And I literally could run 2 or 3 presses at the same time. They were small presses. But there were even people back then that would be like, well, what are you in a rush for? Why are you doing what you're doing? And I'm like, because I'm getting bored running this long run in this one press. I could do this other one while this is going. Yeah. So it is to some degree motivation, some degree technical knowledge.
Yeah, but a lot of it's still drive.
Yes.
It's drive.
For sure. To be able to make that money. I mean, most parents think, well, I don't know about most parents. What I think is that people got into this 4-year college degree thing, which is way more expensive now than it used to be. And you're looking at people, who was it, the head of OpenAI was essentially saying you don't have to go, or the head of NVIDIA it was like you used to want to be able to send your kid to do computer programming. And he's essentially saying, don't need to be doing that anymore because it can be done in plain English on OpenAI, essentially. So where are they going?
Good question.
Right? I see signing bonuses for 10 grand on HVAC here in the metro area sometimes. How do you solve that? I mean, you're on the board of the high school, but how do you?
Yeah, but that's one high school.
Yes.
And it's one high school in a state. And I know there's other vocational schools in other states. A lot of it just seems to be the state has to look at it holistically in the whole state and go like, look, this is worth putting money into. This is not football. This is not baseball. This is not your sports like that. It is an alternative path that is not your commonplace. So it really has to come, and I'll give the state of Georgia and even Gwinnett County very, very good accolades of, taking the leap on that school and funding that program and pushing it and keeping to push it and grow it. And so, but it has to start at a state level. The state has to be able to go, this is worth putting money into to future, because you have to do it now for the kids that are coming up.
Yes.
If you want to get it, if you want that kid that's in elementary school right now to look at that, that program already has to be in place so that he or she will know about it by the time they get into middle school, and then by the time they get into high school, they can apply for it.
Yeah. I think the stigma needs to go away also, right? Because there's a stigma of like, you're not going to college?
Yeah.
And
you're not going to amount to anything if you don't go to get a 4-year degree.
Right. And it used to be okay if you knew computer engineering and programming.
Yes.
You come out of school. Some leaders in that industry would say, don't waste the 4 years.
Yeah.
We'll train you during the 4 years.
Come work for me now.
Yeah. I mean, Google used to do that. Some of these other companies started doing away with 4-year degree like minimums to be able to do that because they weren't finding what they needed.
Yep.
But now they're finding it in different ways, right? So, but I agree with you. I mean, funding that type of stuff makes a whole lot of sense, but it's taking that stigma away to say,
it's okay to be a plumber.
Yeah.
Okay to be a carpenter. It's okay to, wash cars. Because I have a friend of mine who started washing cars, then he managed a car wash. Now he owns 6 of them.
Yeah.
So
again, it's a bit of drive.
Yeah.
Right?
But he had the drive, and he knew that he had to start somewhere. And I think a lot of people are scared of starting at the bottom of something.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that there all these crafts, all these trades are very inviting. They want people.
Yes.
They're begging for people to come work.
And you know what? You don't need the drive as much. You need to be able to I think take pride in what you do.
Sure.
You don't need to go into something and say, well, I want to start my own business, because some people don't want to. They want to do a 9 to 5.
That's fine.
And that's fine. They can make lots of money doing 9 to 5.
They can make good money doing 9 to 5, yeah.
So you should check out the company. All right, so we've sort of come to the end of our interview. Is there anything I've left out that we haven't talked about that do you think you should mention?
No, I can go on for days about the labor and trade schools and stuff like that. But no, I said this is kind of a little bit of my story and kind of where we've come from, where we're heading, and what I'm passionate about individually and what I want to do for the community.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So if you all want to find out about the company, check out the website. I'll have what is the website?
It's kgm-tech.com.
-tech.com. I have the link in the show notes as well. If you have any questions for Kyle, just email him off the website, right? Or leave your comments in the, depending if you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, or if you're watching this on audio podcast, just send the comments to me and I'll forward it to Kyle. So, but thank you, everyone. Thank you to our sponsors as well, to Vox Populi and to EV Remodeling, Inc. Appreciate you all being with us. Share this UrbanEBB podcast with your friends. And if you know anyone that's looking to get into the technical field, Kyle could be a good mentor, probably, I would think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.